Every language is a tapestry, where each word is a thread and each sentence a pattern. Today's story is about how to weave a new beginning from broken threads, and it's also an opportunity for you to weave new English words and expressions in a natural and inspiring way. There is a particular pain reserved for dreams that die in public. It is the sound of applause turning into silence. The moment a spotlight suddenly goes out, leaving you alone in the darkness with the wreckage of what was once everything. It is the feeling that your story has reached a tragic end, in full view of everyone. But what if an end wasn't a final period, but the raw material for a new beginning? This is the story of Clara, a chef whose dream unraveled in 30 seconds of printed words in a devastating review, and of how she spent the next 365 days relearning how to weave her future, one single, fragile thread at a time. Clara was a promising, up-and-coming chef. Her dishes were becoming increasingly famous in Manhattan, and her restaurant, the Gatsby Grill, started having reservations booked for months. It was everything she had dedicated herself to for years on end, and she was finally reaping the rewards of her achievement. Until the end came, swift and brutal. The devastating review, printed in definitive black letters, acted like a poison that spread through the city. After it came the silence. The once coveted tables, now empty. The lively conversations, replaced by an awkward echo. And then, the final sound, the metallic click of the lock being turned for the last time. The door to her dream slammed in her face. The failure wasn't private, it was a spectacle. Clara fled. She traded the cacophony of sirens and judgments of one of the world's largest cities for the almost sacred quiet of Asheville, North Carolina. She didn't come to the Blue Ridge Mountains to find herself. She came to get lost, to hide from the ghost of the chef she once was. It was a self-imposed exile in a place where no one knew the taste of her food, nor that of her defeat. She rented a small cabin with a spacious, light-filled kitchen. But the kitchen, which was once her stage and her sanctuary, was now a haunted place. The knives and pans were silent witnesses to her humiliation. The joy of cooking, the creative spark that defined her, had been completely replaced by paralyzing fear and shame. The thread of her passion had snapped. It was on one of her aimless walks along the trails of the Blue Ridge Mountains that she heard it, a soft but persistent sound. Rhythmic. The sound of something being patiently created. Curiosity, an emotion she thought she had lost forever, guided her to a small, rustic weaving workshop, hidden among the trees like a secret side. Amidst rolls of yarn that exploded in every color of the rainbow was Eloise, a 70-year-old weaver whose hands moved with a deliberate grace. Her workshop wasn't a business, it was an ecosystem of patience. The air smelled of wool, wood, and time. It was a place of vibrant colors, rich textures, and an atmosphere of methodical creation. The exact antithesis of the high-pressure world of heat and instant judgment that Clara once called her own. Clara entered, hesitant, a silent pilgrim, drawn by the sound of the loom. Eloise looked up for a moment, and her eyes, which had seen many patterns and many broken threads, saw not a stranger, but a soul who had forgotten the passion for her own craft. With a simple nod, a silent invitation for her to sit and watch, Eloise welcomed her. No questions were asked, no explanations were needed. For days, Clara just watched the hypnotic ballet of Eloise's hands on the loom. Then, one afternoon, it happened. With a dry, low snap, one of the threads in the complex tapestry broke. Clara, whose career was defined by the relentless pursuit of perfection, held her breath. expecting a wave of frustration, a word of irritation, the kind of reaction she knew so well. But what she saw was calm. Eloise just stopped, looked at the loose thread, and sighed, not with anger, but with a quiet acceptance. It was Clara who broke the silence, her voice almost a whisper. "What now? What happens to the loose threads?" Eloise looked at her, and then at the broken thread, as if the two were part of the same story. "A broken thread isn't the end, dear," she said, her voice gentle. "It's an opportunity. You don't throw it away. You use it to start a new pattern, often one more interesting than the original." Eloise saw in Clara's eyes that the lesson needed a body, an action to become real. She knew that Clara's paralysis wouldn't be cured with a sermon, but with a first step. "Tomorrow," she said, with a disarming simplicity, "don't try to cook a banquet. Don't try to create a masterpiece. Go to the local market and find a single ingredient that speaks to you, just one. That will be your first thread for the new fabric." And so Clara did. The next day, Clara went to the market, not with a plan, but with a mission, to find a single thread. She came home with a deep purple heirloom tomato. That day, she didn't cook a meal. She just studied that ingredient, roasting it slowly to understand its flavor. It was her first thread. The next day, she tried a new spice. On the third, she read a single page from an old cookbook. Each small act, without the pressure of a final result, was a thread of confidence being added to her new, fragile tapestry. The afternoons in Eloise's workshop began to seep into her mornings in the kitchen. The colors and patterns of the tapestries, which told stories of mountains and rivers, started to inspire her flavor combinations. The deep blue of a thread became a touch of blueberry in a savory dish. The vibrant yellow, the saffron in a delicate sauce. She stopped trying to impress imaginary critics and started creating dishes that told the story of her own rediscovery. Clara didn't have the resources, nor the courage, for the risky bet of a new restaurant. Instead, she chose a humbler, stronger, more resilient path. A food truck. The final scene of her transformation is not in an elegant dining room, but at the window of her small truck. There, she serves vibrant and authentic dishes, inspired by the colors of Eloise's tapestries, to a line of happy customers. Success was different now. It wasn't loud or anxious. It was modest, real, and, for the first time, entirely her own. Clara's journey, from a silent kitchen to a food truck full of life, teaches us a comforting and profound truth. Failure is not the end of our story. It is just a set of loose threads that, when woven with patience and new habits, can create a tapestry that is stronger, richer, and infinitely more beautiful than the original. Her lesson is an invitation to look at our own loose threads, the project that failed, the missed opportunity, the wound that hasn't yet healed, and to ask ourselves, how can we, with a single, small act of courage, begin to weave them into a new beginning today? If this story about the beauty of second chances and the power of starting over, thread by thread, resonated with you, leave a comment below, like and share the video so this message can find others who need hope to begin again. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories that help you learn English. Until next time, take your loose threads, be patient, and weave something new.